Hi, Ajita.
As usual, I will give the introduction about today's topic and theme and about the presenters, and then we'll hand out the session. Yeah, I hope I'm audible. If you have any questions or any technical issues, please raise your hands or post in the group chat. Okay. Hello all, namaste, welcome back. And today is Natural Counselling Group 96th webinar, and the topic is positivity, activity, and immunity. And our presenters are by Roopa Rao, counseling psychologist and NLP coach, and Sunder Rajan Garu, NAHA speaker. And the today's topic theme is how acceptance and mindfulness helps one to face corona pandemic like situations. And a short introduction about the presenters. Uh, Roopa Rao Garu is a writer and fitness coach who has trained and to be a life coach and counseling psychologist. She is a nature lover and spends a lot of time in the gardening. She likes motivating people to do and be a better. And a short introduction about Sunder Rajan Garu. He lives in Canada and is a coach by profession, and his interests revolve around the practical adoption and application of ancient Indian works like Bhagavad Gita, Upanishads, and Yoga Sutras, etc. He conducts weekly Bhagavad Gita sessions for North American Hindus Association, which is also available on YouTube. Now, let me welcome, without wasting much time, Rupaji and Sundarajanji to continue today's topic about immunity. Yeah,
Thank you, Sudhir Garu.
yeah,
And a very warm welcome to all of you and a good evening. So I'll be beginning the session today, and like Rupa was starting the session today, and today I'll start it and lead it into Rupa, and then we'll have the question answer format. So before I do that, I'll share my screen, and I hope I'm audible to all of you with a good range.
yes,
So welcome again, and today we are here on our second day of our journey. And today we'll be talking about, as Sudhir Garu mentioned, the value of positivity, activity, and community, which is a holistic package that actually contributes into our immunity. Now, this is not just the physical immunity, but it's also the mental and moral immunity that keeps us strong and weathers us in a time where things are affecting us from left, right, and center. And we'll be talking about the topics of acceptance and mindfulness. So please welcome. And before I start on the actual topic, you know me, I love to start with a quick question. The question is, how do you entrap a monkey? How do you trap a monkey? So I won't let you answer it in a very creative way, but you can go ahead and type it in the chat. But I just want to let you know while you're typing that trapping a monkey is a very easy thing. So if you've been to Southeast Asia or some parts of India, you'd see that a person who traps a monkey does it with ease. All you have to do is take a bottle or a gourd, create a narrow outlet into it, and put some groundnuts or peanuts and leave it there. So the coconut or basically the bottle is now tied to a tree and you have to do nothing else. This is called voluntary entrapment. A monkey looks at the peanuts or the groundnut, gets tempted, comes and tries to grab the peanut, right? I say peanut because I'm in North America, so it's a groundnut for you. So just translate in your mind. And when it grabs it, the fist is too big for the monkey to pull it out of the narrow opening. The monkey can let go, but it doesn't know how to let go, right? So it's trapped there, and the trapper, basically the man walks by, the hunter walks by, and the monkey knows it's in danger. It knows it has to escape, and it doesn't know how to. It knows that it has to let go, but it doesn't know how to let go, right? And this is called voluntary entrapment. It's trapped there, and now the hunter comes and he ties a chain around the monkey's neck, and it's trapped for life. Now its entire life is spent on doing what the man wants it to do. From voluntary entrapment, it actually becomes to a permanent entrapment. Unfortunately for the monkey, there is no escape after that, but there was a chance to escape when it could let go. And if you're thinking it's a poor monkey and this is not going to affect me, think again. Because human beings are in the exact same state. We voluntarily fall into a trap, we voluntarily go, and the only problem is we do not know how to let go. We know letting go is the option. Okay, I'm not saying we don't know what to let go. We know what to let go, but we don't want to. With that, we are going to start our topic on how to let go. And for this, I bring a beautiful philosophy that emanated or originated in India or the Indian subcontinent by Gautama Buddha, Siddhartha Gautama. And this is all about how to escape suffering. Now, Gautama Buddha called it samsara. We are going to call it just silent suffering of things that are going on and affecting us, the dukkha part, affecting us. And we'll start with the four simple, noble truths that Siddhartha Gautama came up with. The four noble truths are first, suffering exists. There's no doubt about it. We can feel it, we know it, and it is there. There's no denial. So stop being in denial mode and accept it. Acknowledge the suffering. So it is there. I am suffering. As long as you don't know you're suffering, you can never get rid of it. So you would have seen houses where people hoard, the houses. Once you walk into somebody's house, there's a lot of untidy stuff and debris, lying here and there. It's not very clean. It's because the people of the household have accepted to live with it. They don't see the debris. They know, and it doesn't harm them anymore. It doesn't actually irritate them. So for a third person, it does. But for a person who is living with a particular condition, they get accustomed to it. And because you're accustomed to it, there will be no growth or change, no incentive to change. And that's what we're getting at. Acknowledgement simply means that understanding your situation and saying, yes, I know I have a problem. Second is suffering has a cause. This is a good news. So every suffering has a cause. It's not inborn with you. When you were born, you were happy, you were absolutely peaceful, and you brought joy to everybody around you. Unfortunately, the world around you has made you understand that you are a weakling, you're limited, and you have to act a certain way. So, society has kind of conditioned our mind, and all the suffering that we have has a particular cause. So, in your case, it might be different from the way I suffer, might be different from the way Rupa suffers or somebody else suffers, right? So, suffering has a cause, but you have to analyze what is triggering your suffering, what is triggering your sadness or your anger or your depression. What is analyze it. But the good news is all suffering has an end. This is the cardinal rule of the universe. Anything that has a beginning has an end. Okay. So Buddha said suffering definitely has an end. So do have faith in it. And to get rid of it, you have to follow a certain methodology, a certain process. And the process that Buddha had given out to the world was called the noble path or eightfold path. So there were 8 steps that Buddha said, by doing which you can get rid of samsara. And in Buddha's terminology, all of samsara was afflicted in the mind level itself, right? And that is what we are going to look at today. So it's not the physical immunity, not the mask or the vaccines we are going to talk about, but we are going to talk about how to take care of our mental and spiritual well-being or emotional well-being. Okay, and the eight noble paths are having the right view and the right intention. These have Sanskrit names, but don't worry about Sanskrit names. Just we'll go with the English names itself. The right intention causes us to commit towards a change. And then the way we speak, the words we use, will come into this. I won't go into detail because each one of this translates into a slide separately. The right action, the right kind of living or lifestyle. Your lifestyle and your work style, some changes in that will also change the way your quality of life proceeds. The right kind of effort, the right focus, and finally, the right realization or mindfulness. These are all steps towards mindfulness because we have been like the monkey running around here and there. And for a person who's been running around for a long time, the moment they stop, the heaving doesn't stop. It takes a while for you to actually calm down, right? And for a mind that has been running here and there, it cannot stop on day one. I wish there was a magic pill that says, I stop, I turn on a switch, and then I become Buddha. But even for Buddha, it took a long time, like almost 40 years. So we have to have patience with ourselves to bring ourselves to mindfulness. Going one step at a time, samyak drishti, which is having the right view, simply means training our mind. Like this is a continuation of what we talked about from yesterday, is the more you focus on positivity, the more you absorb what is positive around you. The more you focus on negativity, the more you absorb negativity. So it is just like the food you eat transforms you physically or affects you physically, right? So you eat healthy food, you're healthy. You eat junk food, you know what happens to your system. Or if you go into alcohol and drugs, you know exactly what happens. So the intake directly affects your system. So train your mind to see what is good in every situation. And positivity that we are talking about is a very conscious choice. So you have to be very mindful of it, that you are looking into positive, which means giving up bad habits. Sometimes that's going to be taking, that is the hardest step. The first step is always the hardest. And remember, the happiness and the quality of your happiness depends on the quality of your thoughts. So your intake has to change. The intake influences your thinking process, and that changes or sets you up for the next step, which is the intentions. So when we talk about intentions, which is samyak sankalpa, the right intentions, intentions are very powerful and they're very important for us, because your intentions define your reality and the degree to which you will succeed. If I have the fire in me, like I will not sleep till my goal is reached, like Swami Vivekananda said, like stop not till your goal is reached. If that is your passion, then results come to you very easily. On the other hand, if you say I'll commit myself to change probably once in a quarter or once in a month, then change comes, but it's going to be very gradual and slow. Your positive intentions will move you forward, and without saying, your negative intentions, what do? They drag you back. So be careful about how you intend, how you react to situations. And like I said, it's a very conscious thing. Maintain a journal. Like every time you speak to some ex person, you might get upset. So note down, it's not the person. There are some things they say or your attitude towards the person that's causing your emotional triggers to just go up. So write it down and see how I'm going to react to this. And when the person speaks the next time, be consciously aware that your triggers are going to flare up, and have a plan A or plan B and a plan C on, okay, this is how I'm going to react. The person is going to say XYZ, and I'm going to be very patient. And this is a trick I use. So let me actually digress. I used to work, or I work with, angry customers sometimes. And for me, angry customers are some of the best customers you'll deal with, because the bad customers will walk away. They don't want your business. They'll be silent and they'll walk away. Same thing in a relationship. If somebody is fighting with you, they want it to work. People who are on the other side, the bad relationship, the side, they'll walk away. They don't want to do anything with you. And that's the point where you cannot work it out, right? If somebody is angry at you, it's a cry for help. And you have to patiently listen, not to the words, not to the emotions, but the cry for help behind, and give them the space to actually express themselves. Be calm, patient, allow them to speak, and then with a calm and cool mind say, okay, now can we talk? I heard you, I understand you. And that completely changes the dynamic. Once a person feels heard, feels understood, he or she will actually be ready to communicate. So, this is what I'm talking about, intentions. You have to have a plan A ready to tackle every single trigger that's driving you crazy, right? So, like, otherwise, what we are doing is we are going from reaction to reaction to reaction instead of responding. Okay. So, you have to start going from intentionally, start going from a reactive mode to a responding mode. Okay. Samyak Sankalpa. And as one of my favorite actors, Jim Carrey, says, our intentions are everything. Nothing happens on this planet without it. Not one single thing has ever been accomplished without intention, and which is true. Even evolution has started because of a conscious intention. Somewhere a bear said, I'm feeling too cold, I need fur. And then, slowly evolution has made that happen. Or some fish said, I need to run away to the land and be able to breathe. And that's what happened, right? So intention is everything. And intention gives you or paves way to right speech, because your mind is now ready and you've made a plan of action as to how to respond to people. So you have to choose the right words or the right emotions to talk to them, because your thoughts affect your speech, and conversely, your speech affects your thought. So it's a cycle. So try speaking kindly, even if you don't feel it now, and make it a habit. And automatically, in about say 2 weeks, your first response is going to be a happy one. When you see a person, instead of asking, "Hey, have you done that?" say, "Good morning" or "Good evening. How are you doing?" See, your voice is automatically changed. It's calmed down, right? So try that in front of a mirror. Try talking to people and smiling at them, even strangers. When you walk on the street and smile, people automatically smile back, or you wave. Even strangers respond to kindness. And that's the beauty. The moment you become the friend of the universe becomes your friend. And this is a state called Maitra and Karuna, right? And by changing your speech, what do I mean? Vak here doesn't mean just talking sweetly. It could be multiple things. Try singing. When you're alone, try singing. Tell jokes, try laughing, reciting poems, speak kindly, be grateful. There are so many things you can do at the speech level. Even just calling your friend, it's as simple as that, right? Form a group, laughter therapy. There's so many things you can do now with all the Zoom calls. It's become even more easier. You have no excuse. You don't have to leave home, right? And saying one kind word at the right time will change somebody's life, and it's always happened, right? And so many examples for that. So I won't go into the examples now, but we'll talk about how a small kind word has changed people's lives. One, okay, quickly. One that comes to mind is Valmiki, but we'll go into it later. And have an attitude of gratitude. Now, this is very important, because the more grateful you feel, like we talked about yesterday, the more grateful you feel, you start looking out for things that you feel grateful for. Now, I'll give you something called it's called gratitude journal. And this is what something we do here at Chinmaya Mission. When we were talking, there was one girl who actually taught me this, and it's amazing. So maintain a journal and write down things, one thing a day that you're grateful for. So somebody has done something good for you, or you find something that you really feel has moved you. So that gratefulness is very important. But there is one rule, one trick. You cannot repeat the same gratefulness the next day or any day. So it has to be very unique. Okay. So what happens is, in the first 10 days, you'll be fantastic. My mother cooked me something and I'm grateful for it, or my son did this, or my wife did this, and fantastic. After about 15 days, you'll be exhausting all the things you're grateful for. And that's when the magic happens. When you have nothing to be grateful for, you'll start looking out for things you're grateful for. And the moment you start looking out for things you're grateful for, your world changes. You'll start seeing that the things you have taken for granted have now suddenly started appearing, that, oh my goodness, I've been so thankless. And your attitude of gratitude is born when you stop feeling grateful for the things you've already exhausted, and start seeing the things that you've taken for granted. Okay, try this out if you can. And it's a fantastic thing that will start working. And once that attitude has set in, you don't need the journal anymore. Then you'll start actually going out and feeling grateful for everything. Okay. And being grateful physiologically, and I don't have to tell you, all of you already know it. It shields you from negativity. It makes you happier. It actually rewires your brain, eliminates your stress, and a whole bunch of things that goes with it. And definitely improves your relationship with everybody around you. So the quality of relationship goes high when you value the person you're in a relationship. Okay. And so many things to do, like just smile, it costs you nothing. Empathy is a wonderful thing that you want to bring into other people's lives. So empathy versus sympathy, there's so much of stuff on YouTube that when you're empathetic, you actually connect with people. Okay. And don't be afraid to talk to others. Don't fear rejection. And remind me of rejection later. I'll tell you a beautiful story about rejection. So in the interest of time, we'll just start moving forward. But Samyak Karmanta. Samyak Karmanta is basically the ability to change your work style, karma, right? You cultivate your actions to make it beneficial to you, your thought process. So help someone with a problem. You can do so many things volunteering now. Like yesterday, we talked about the volunteering. So form a small group in your own community. You don't have to go far away. If you're living in a close colony or you're living somewhere, there are people around you who are suffering or like-minded. Get them around and start Zoom calls, because going out without a mask is a problem, right? With the lockdown and everything. So call somebody you haven't talked to. Lend a patient here. Start a network. Just start, do something in your capacity. Monetarily is the lowest, and then you have the emotional support, the physical, like giving your time. There's so many ways you can actually help others in need, right? And ajiva, the work style or your lifestyle. Reduce your stress level that emanates from the work you do. Like when I say work, it's a professional work. Many people, what they do is they think work is the first thing, first priority, and they sacrifice their health and they sacrifice their family time, and end up regretting it after retirement, right? Now, why did I do all those things? So the regret should not be after you retire. It should be identified while you're working and reprioritize your life. And every organization talks about work life balance. What does it really mean? It simply means love what you do, spend the right amount of time at work, but balance it with your health and your family. And remember, health and family comes first. If you do not have health and do not have family, what exactly are you working for? Think about it, right? And I love the Zen quote which says, eat when you're hungry and sleep when you're sleepy. And that is the only way you can have peace. It seems like very common sense. But what do? We don't eat when we are hungry. We postpone it. And we don't sleep when we are sleepy. It's past midnight, there's a deadline, we work on it, and we ruin our cycles. And what do we do constantly is destroy our health to do something that is ephemeral, meaning it won't matter in many days, right? So the deadlines and all are important, but you have to plan for it. There are other ways to take care of it, right? You can negotiate your deadlines if you cannot stick it or get help. Work comes second, family comes first. Very important. And Samyak Vyayama. This is Vyayama. I think Rupa can talk more about it, but basically it's your actions and your effort and how you change it. So exercising is indispensable. It's very important to keep you fit. And a fit body leads to a fit mind, and that's the key to a good life. You all know this. So you can start with very simple non-strenuous exercise, nothing great. Even on your chair you can sit and start your stretches, or you can do your pranayama or light asanas, and then slowly build up your resilience and strength, and then move on to more heavier pranayama and asana if you can. But start small and then slowly sustain it and grow big, rather than starting big on the first day and giving it up. And one of my favorite quotes on this is, we don't stop exercising because we grow old. We grow old because we stop exercising. And that's the reality. Now, next comes, because we have talked about activity in those three, like the work style and all. And then we talked about positivity with the Samyak Drishti and Samyak Bhak. Now we are slowly coming on to the community and basically building on the mental immunity towards the mindfulness. So here, Samyak Smriti. Smriti is the ability to focus in this context, because the mind will wander. It will try to get back to its bad habits. And you have to be patient and bring it back. Every time it wanders, bring it back to yourself. Every time it runs towards your favorite stimulant, just bring it back to yourself, right? Or the time you want to switch on the TV and watch your favorite shouting match, bring it back to yourself. Okay. And the moment you do that, the mind will resist. It'll start rebelling. And be patient. It can rebel 100 times. But if you've achieved 70% of bringing it back, then at least you're 30%, you're 70% free of all that bad things, right? So every time you bring back your mind, it's a victory for yourself. The mind will lose faith. It'll say, this doesn't work out. It's going to give up. Every time it wants to give up. That's the nature of the mind. That's the nature of the monkey that has its hand in the bottle. So it doesn't want to give up. It is for you to let the monkey's hand go and pull it out of the bottle. So have faith, be strong, and be yourself. So this is going to take commitment. And this is where when people ask, okay, what is the one thing I can do to become happy? This is the one thing. Have patience. There is no substitute and no shortcut to becoming free. If I can give you a magic pill and say, okay, eat this magic pill and tomorrow onwards you'll become free, then that will be a temporary stop. I wish there was a magic pill, but in order to reduce your weight, you have to work out. You cannot eat something and then expect yourself to become a bodybuilder, right? So there is some effort. And last but not the least is it leads back to mindfulness. Mindfulness is all about being in the moment, being yourself. And being yourself is the hardest thing to do because we are surrounded by triggers and we voluntarily want to jump at every trigger that's presented to us. So we forget who we are and start responding, right? So somebody walks into the room and we become not ourselves, we become what they want us to be. So be yourself, be in the moment, be involved without being attached. Now I want to name this. It's called detached engagement. Now, this is whenever Bhagavad Gita or anything talks about detachment. Detachment is not becoming a psychopath and not having any feelings. It is having all the feelings without getting trapped with the results. So think of a nurse. A nurse takes care of you when you go to the hospital. I mean, when a person is admitted to the hospital, the nurse takes care of the patient more than a family member would, like with cleaning and all those things. Like the amount of involvement is extreme. When the person leaves, there's no detachment. It's a duty, it's a sense of duty, right? And that kind of detachment leads you to peace because you're not, when somebody comes into your life, you allow. When somebody leaves your life, you're fine. They'll come back again. When they come back, it's good. So that's the kind of detachment we are talking about, right? Care without expectations and serve without ego. And there is no other way for you to remove your hand out of the jar, okay, or the bottle, because external situations do not define you. Your thoughts do not define you. You are who you are, and there is no compromise there. When you understand this, when you understand that you are you, you will be at peace. Okay? And just be yourself. Now, concluding, practice is the key. There is no substitute to this. But to become yourself, you have to practice and undo all the things that have made you not yourself, all the things that have made you worrisome, all the things that have made you sad or depressed or angry or all those things. Let this all go and be yourself. Think positively, practice the Eightfold Path, which is getting yourself from the right mindset or right view all the way to mindfulness. Be in the moment, be positive, be mindful, and just be. Just be. There's no other way. And having said that, now I'll move it on to Rupa, who will continue from here and take you further on the journey. Over to you, Rupa. You're on mute.
Roopa, unmute yourself.
Thank you very much, Sunder. Namaste to all the audience members. A very good evening and a good morning as well. So you said just be, just be, just be, right? That's what you said. So should I be mindful because my mind is full of worries? Or should I be mindful, focusing on what's going on in front of me? If I'm worried, if I have lots of things going on in my mind, I'm worried about the situation outside, I'm worried about global warming, I'm worried about the diminishing numbers of penguins in South Africa, and I'm also worried about the huge mountains of plastic around. Of course, I'm worried about the COVID situation in India, especially. So in such a case, how am I going to be mindful? I think that's a very pertinent question to answer. So it's so easy to say, learn to be in the present moment, enjoy the moment, etc. But if my mind is stuffed, how am I going to enjoy it? Let's just take one step ahead to talk about concept which is called as the concern, circle of influence, and circle of control. And just take a few minutes to explain this to you, because the question here we need to answer, and yesterday one of the participants had this question: how do I stop worrying? If I'm worrying, obviously I'll not be able to concentrate, focus, because all my energy is spent on that worry. So here we're looking at a circle of concern, circle of influence, and circle of control in this concentric circles. Circle of concern, the red one, is all your worries. So you're talking about, I'm worried about my financial situation, I'm worried about the COVID situation, I'm worried about blah, 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 everything. Now tell me, if there's global warming going on, if the number of penguins are diminishing in the oceans, what is that I can do? Okay. Coming to the inner circle, which is the circle of control, what is it that I can control? So we have a COVID situation outside. There is virus all around. I can't control the virus outside. That's a fact. However, what is it that I can do in order to control my health? Keep it within my control. I can do a lot of things. I can stay home, I can sanitize my hands whenever I go out, come back in, I can wear a mask, and I can do a lot of other things. I can eat immune boosting foods, I can do my exercise. These are all things which are in my control. Now tell me, if you are thinking about the COVID situation outside, and you know you can't directly do anything about it, whether in India or Brazil or Australia, do you feel empowered or powerless? Very simple. It's raining outside, it's pouring. Can you do anything about the rain? Of course you can't, it's an external thing. But you want to go out. What will you do? What will you do? You want to go out. It's really simple. All you're going to do is pick up an umbrella, go out. Now, did you feel empowered using the umbrella or not? It was an action you took. Is it within your control? Definitely. Very simply, I'm trying to bring out the difference between putting your energy in the circle of concern versus putting your energy in the circle of control. It makes a huge difference to your mindset and to the kind of actions that you can do. So let's say that somebody is very worried about their financial situation. So if I sit worrying about it, is anything happening? Absolutely nothing. It is zero. It is energy completely wasted. Okay, all your ATPs, they're just going down the drain. On the other hand, if I say, okay, now I need some planning for my finances, what am I going to do? I need to plan for the COVID situation. What am I going to do? So I'm worried about my family, right? What do I do? I'm going to take the new term insurance plan. I'm going to maybe boost up my life insurance, have an employee. I'm going to take a COVID raksha, a COVID insurance for them. What am I doing? From being powerless outside, I'm taking control of the situation. I'm doing actions. Not only am I helping myself, I'm helping my family. Also, I'm giving a lot of assurance to my employee because I'm taking insurance for him as well. These are very, very simple things you can do. Instead of feeling powerless, you will be totally in control. And it is a complete contrast between directed energy versus wasted energy. So if you think knowledge is power, I think you should rethink and you should add action is what makes you powerful. So are you going to react to the COVID situation outside and say, oh my God, millions of cases in India, there's no oxygen, there's no this, there's no that. It's going to make you feel stressed. It's going to make you feel helpless. On the other hand, by choosing to respond to how things are going on, you're going to empower yourself. Now, coming back to the first question, should I worry or should I not worry? How can I stop worrying? When you're faced with a situation, just ask yourself a simple question. Is this in my circle of concern? Is it something I can do about, or is it something I'm stressing about and wasting energy about? Ask that question. If it is going to fall in the circle of concern, the word worry should just go away from your mind. You should say, this is nothing that I can worry about. On the other hand, change your mind and thought and say, I'm going to move from the circle of concern to the circle of control or influence. What can I do about it? If it is a situation that I cannot change, okay, there's nothing to worry about because you're just going to waste your energy on it. On the other hand, focus your energy on the circle of control. So I want you all to really take this concept and think about what all you're worrying about, what falls in your circle of concern, what is in your circle, what can you influence by increasing the diameter of your circle of control and influence. You will be reducing the diameter of your circle of concern, which is what we're going to be looking at next. So you push, do what you can, take action. You will reduce your circle of concern. You will feel empowered. So a couple of questions were asked. One is, should I worry? I hope this will give you a tool. It's a tool in order to check whether you need to be in the, how you can get into the circle of control and influence as well. You have the power to choose. Remember how you want to use the energies, you have the power to choose. The minute you get into and stick in the circle of concern, you're powerless. So move. So there was a question about this, so much of media hype around this whole thing. How am I going to tackle it? How am I going to find my balance? Ask yourself, if the media is shouting, if there is a lot of hype around, a lot of things unpleasant, factful or non-factful, does my attention and my energy there fall in the circle of concern, or does it fall in my circle of influence and control? Can I influence that situation in any way? I can't. What do I need to do? Right? So getting from the circle of concern to the circle of influence. Use the tool to get into an activity mode. And once we start being active, you really not have a reason to complain. Now, you're not going to worry about A, B, C, etc. Okay, I'm not worried about it. To exist, I have to acknowledge, yes, and I have to also accept what I'm going through. I have to act accept what is going on. So we come to this word, accept. What does acceptance mean? Simply to acknowledge, to take notice of, to tolerate what is without any conflict in my mind. I try to fight. It's not acceptance. I say, so A is A, B is B, and this is the situation around me. And what can I do about it? That is positivity. If I say, this is how it is, and this is what I should accept, right? So that is what's called as acceptance. Unless you accept, you really not move to the next step. Why should we accept? What is the benefit if we accept the situation? One, if you do not accept, there will be a barrier in your mind. You will not get into the action mode, right? Once you accept and you say, okay, now this is the situation and what can I do next? That thought comes in and it allows you space for some action. You can actually do stuff. I have a lot of time on my hands. The situation is such that I have some time on my hands. What can I do? Right? So it gives you space to talk about, to do, plan for action. And I really like this pic. So I just put it, I just love the lovely smiling faces. Accept what you cannot change. If you cannot accept, change it. If you are not even able to do that, that means simply you're in the circle of concern. So again, it's about moving your direction. So relax, accept things are crazy, but you really have to just accept. Now that we have talked about worry and we have a tool about choosing whether to worry or not, and whether to get into action mode or not, and next, we know now that acceptance is very much a part of the whole thing and that we cannot really move on and act without acceptance. Let's talk a little bit about mindfulness and being in the moment, because that is what is going to bring you joy. So here I'd like to just say that our thoughts moving into the past and the present is normal. It happens for everybody. Are you disproportionately in the future? Worry is always about the future. Remember, 99% of the time, worry is always about the future. So if you're in a worry mode, you're always thinking about the future in a negative way. So if past and the future are part of my thoughts, how can I be in the now? Right? I have a past, I have to acknowledge it. I look forward to a future and it's fantastic to dream and imagine a wonderful future. Yes. But now we are saying be in the now, be in the moment. Why? Or how? That's the question. And here I'm going to tell you a small story. It's a really small story, very short. And I'm going to you all to concentrate, listen carefully, and two stories, and request you to just put in your thoughts, whatever you derived from these two stories. Okay, so listen carefully. There was a pretty girl who was walking through a forest, excited because she was supposed to get married in 10 days' time. As she was walking through the forest, she was eagerly running to meet the cake maker because she wanted a beautiful cake, the dressmaker for her wedding dress, the jeweler for her beautiful jewelry, and then she also wanted to meet her friend to discuss the wedding arrangement. On the path, there jumped a huge lion, blocked the way. My question, do you think in that moment, the cake maker, the tailor, the jeweler came into her mind? The next story, wow, the two sweet, fresh, juicy strawberries. Listen. A man was walking through a jungle. Yes, there's always forests and jungles in stories. A man was walking through a jungle when a tiger started chasing him. He ran as fast as he could from the tiger. He saw a cliff that had a tree. The tree had a rope, a vine hanging from it. So he ran, caught hold of the rope on the cliff. The tiger came on the cliff and looked down at him. The man looked down, wondering where he could jump, and he saw there was another tiger at the bottom. Now things got even more interesting. Two rats climbed the tree and started chewing on the rope which was holding that man. And he looked and he saw two sweet, fresh, juicy strawberries hanging down that cliff. The man reached his hand out. One hand he reached out, plucked the two sweet, fresh, juicy strawberries, put them in his mouth, ate them, enjoyed them, and the juice was dripping from his mouth. Take a minute, think about these two stories, and in the chat box, and request you, what did you understand from these two stories? What did you derive from these two stories? Please put it in the chat box. This is going to be interesting. Please type it, and I will request Sunder to just share whatever goes on in the chat box. Whatever comes to your mind, whatever you derived, please put it in your chat box.
I'm still waiting.
This is a collaborative thing, so I need to know what's going on in your mind. So please do type in.
Okay, so second story, enjoy the moment. And it says fear versus presence.
Okay.
And Vijay says life at the moment is important no matter what happens.
Okay.
Really good responses, and waiting for others. And there is no wrong answer.
There is no wrong answer. Absolutely right. It's just what came to your mind.
Correct. And Maitri Garu says, live in the moment. And the whole presentation is about living in the moment. So just live the moment and then type out what comes to your mind.
Yeah, exactly. Then, so do we have any more responses? I see 5. Do you want to read anything more?
Yeah, there was one more. Pretty much it's like live in the moment or be in the moment. And that's the common theme that's running through the chat.
Fantastic. Okay. So let's see if I have something a little different for you. I say, welcome the lion in your path. Of course, you're correct about being in the moment. The story was absolutely to focus you about mindfulness. I say, welcome the lion in your path. We're so caught up thinking about so many things that until a lion comes in your path, you don't focus in the moment. So once in a while, welcome the lion in your path, maybe once a day, twice a day, thrice a day, because you will not think about the tailor or the wedding dress or the cake. You're just going to stare that lion in the face and you will feel the most alive. Trust me. Imagine you have a lion in front of you. It is the time you feel the most alive. Next, enjoy the strawberries, which means that if you're caught in a situation, a tiger on top, a tiger at the bottom, and rats gnawing away at the rope that holds you there, you will enjoy the strawberries the best, right? So understand it the way that you want to. Mindfulness is something that every human being is capable of. We just have to access it. And from yesterday's exercise, I'm sure you understand it's not just the mind that we talk about, it's also through the body. The awareness, the mindfulness comes through the body. I'm going to take just 2 minutes to conclude, and we'll have time for the question answers. Yesterday and today, we spoke about fear and anxiety. We spoke about positivity, community, activity today. We also spoke about acceptance and mindfulness. The reason why we did acceptance and mindfulness is that despite a bad situation outside, if you're able to accept it, and if you're mindful of what you're doing, if you're in the moment with whatever you do during the day, during your time here, you will enjoy and you will live to the best of your ability. So that's the reason we did acceptance and mindfulness. And once you're in that state of joy, I think it sort of changes your mindset and it leads to immunity, mentally, physically. This is a share from my friend, which I really liked. 5 people that you need to spend a lot of time with so that you can elevate yourself. And the reason I put this is that yesterday we talked about how thoughts, feelings, and actions are connected. So in conclusion, to sum up all that we learned yesterday and today, be aware of your thoughts, feelings, and actions and the connections between them. Pause and check whenever you have a strong emotion, whether it's a fact or it's an imagination. Check yourself. Elevate yourself with your mind, because your mind is so powerful and it will definitely fight fear and anxiety. Acknowledge your feelings. This morning, my friend from Canada, whose parents, both of them, were admitted in hospital in Tirupati. So he lives in Halifax and he made arrangements for them to get admitted in Tirupati. So his father is discharged and his mother is still sick and she's on oxygen. He works in the medical field, so he's pretty much aware of what the situation is. He asked me for the YouTube link and I sent, and he said, ma'am, I really don't know. You're talking about emotions and feelings. I'm feeling numb, he said. I have no feelings at all. I don't know what to think. And I have no feelings, he said. Having no feeling also is a feeling. So acknowledge your feelings. It's okay. And allow yourself to just be. That's what Sunder concluded today's session with. He said, just be. And if you're stressed out, if you are tired, if you are fed up, cry. So that's another thing that Sunder shared with me this morning. And said, a child answered the question, how do you handle stress? And the child said, I'm going to cry. And it seemed like such a simple answer, right? And he also said that I'm going to ask for help. So absolutely fantastic, wonderful responses. So it's okay, just accept. Activity, watch what you do, with whom you do it. Creativity is something that you should really encourage yourself to do. Think, seek, do something special. My last slide summarizing today's talk. Change what can be changed. If you cannot change it, just accept it and be at peace. You will move into positivity. There is pain around, but engage yourself with the world. Do not discontinue or detach yourself from the world. Very, very important. Work control and influence, right? Very important. Direct your energy wisely. So with that, I will say thank you very much. We are open to questions now and comments as well. So kindly, those of you who would like to share something about our 2 days of sessions, if you have any questions, please, this is the time that you should open up and ask. Any comments? Anything?
Yeah, participants, members. Rupaji, you are muted. Please unmute yourself. Yeah, now anyone can unmute themselves and they can ask the question.
Please unmute yourself, and any comments that you have about the sessions, any questions, please do speak up now.
Good evening.
Yeah, Ramesh Garu, please speak it.
Yeah, thank you, Sundar, and thank you, Roopa Rao Garu. So, Sundar Garu, you made one nice point that when somebody cries at you or make shout at you, that means actually they really wanted to solution. They wanted, that's why they are shouting at you or making. That point is really good. And Roopa Garu, you said that everywhere you be present, enjoy the moment. That point I really liked it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's all about empathizing and understanding. Absolutely. Thank you so much for the comments.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other comments or questions? So this is something that we all need to share. If you have something that you would like to share, maybe a point that we've missed out, please feel free to share your thoughts.
Yeah, it was a nice session. I mean, those who attended yesterday, they can correlate and they can have the better carry forwarding of what we did yesterday. And today also is very wonderful, nice stories. You know, there are a lot of concepts like mindfulness and being calm and accepting it, and how it is improves one immunity. That one question, that coverage will be helping more. I mean, being practicing this or being in this way, how to help immunity building.
Okay, so like I mentioned earlier in the talk, so immunity is a holistic package of the three things. So basically, the mental well-being promotes your physical well-being and the backward. So a strong body is required for a strong mind. Same thing. The more calmer you are, the less cortisol levels that are in your body, and that helps you even understand yourself and start seeking help when you need it and if you need it. So immunity is not magical, right? It's something that's built up, and it simply means your resistance to situation, and when there is a threat to your body or your mind, the way your body responds to it. So one way is like traditionally Ayurveda. I'll talk about Ayurveda for a couple seconds, right? So we are also accustomed to the Western medicine. No criticism on the Western or Eastern way of treating, but the Western way of treating is treating the disease treatment. It's not treating the person, but treating a disease, right? So even though we call it healthcare, it's basically disease care. So you go to a doctor and you're completely healthy. The doctor cannot treat you. Whereas for an Ayurvedic physician, the natural methods are basically looking at the person's physiology and addressing the person's physical lifestyle and the way their immunity is built up in a very natural way. And like what we say here, like the natural ecological way, right? So building up your immunity towards threats that comes to you. So you can have good lifestyle, healthy eating, a calm mind, a great lifestyle, and more importantly, a very positive attitude. All this is holistic and it cannot be separated from your well being. And in the Siddha Vaidya, you say the food that you eat is your medicine. What you eat, when you eat, and how much you eat is very important towards building your immunity. So when we see immunity in this session or anywhere else, it is not separated from the activity, community, and the positivity. So that's my take. And Roopa, go ahead.
Absolutely agree with you, Sundar, on all the points you said. It's about food, it's about physical health, mental health, everything. To a great extent, positivity heals your body. So, healthy body, heal thyself is a saying. So, I think, yes, that's what it is. Any other?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think we are getting a lot of group chat, sessions are nice and nice talk. I think we covered all the questions in the group chat and Facebook as well. So, and thank you all for joining this today's webinar, and thank you Roopaji and Sundarji for joining. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Sudhir. Thank you so much. I thank everybody for being here today. Hopefully what we have said will benefit some people. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.